In contemporary economic development, partnerships, regionalism, and cooperation are absolute necessities.
Good, bad, or indifferent, we're in a sense a community, all of us, even though we do span two different states.
We all think this whole area is just one large area. Everybody that has a business here, I think, thinks that.
State boundaries tend to complicate matters. This is evident in the foothills of the Blue Ridge, where North Carolina and South Carolina share a common boundary. This boundary comes together near the towns of Tryon and Landrum, where Polk County in North Carolina borders both Spartanburg County and Greenville County in South Carolina. Communities like Landrum that are near the northern edge of their county are dozens of miles and a long-distance call from their nearest South Carolina county seats. Landrum is much closer to the North Carolina town of Tryon, only a few minutes away. Given these geographical imperatives, it begins to make more sense to ignore the political boundaries altogether and to think of Landrum and Tryon as being part of the same economic community. This regional realization was occurring to policymakers and business leaders on both sides of the state line.
The Polk County Chamber of Commerce is right on the border of North and South Carolina, and right below that border into South Carolina is the city of Landrum, with a population of about 2,500 people.
We frequent the same shops, whether it's on one side of the border or on the other side of the border. Folks go to the same churches. If you're in, schools are going to be somewhat different, obviously.
And about 7 years ago, we approached Landrum because it is not long distance to call across that state line. It's the same community, basically. They're only 4 miles apart.
There's a lot of contact. Socially, the area is very close-knit, whether it's in our part of South Carolina or the other side of North Carolina.
They're right along the 176 corridor, which is a beautiful scenic byway, and so people naturally come up to Tryon and go down to Landrum.
Over the last decade, the idea of merging the Landrum and Polk County chambers had been raised before, but discussions had never progressed very far. Despite the obvious synergies and shared efficiencies such a merger would bring, both sides were concerned that the blending of the two chambers would erode each town's unique identity. Size also mattered in that the smaller Landrum chamber did not want to be completely submerged within the larger Polk County organization. Despite strong starts and good intentions, nothing ever seemed to happen. Then, in 2007, leaders on both sides decided to look at the possibility of a merger with fresh eyes.
It was very natural then to begin to look at northern Spartanburg County, city of Landrum, and the natural economic flow that was occurring between the two counties across the state and between city of Landrum, town of Tryon, Columbus, and city of Saluda.
Next step seemed to be, let's consider getting together. I mean, this is what we are, this is what we do. Let's formalize this a little bit.
They invited me for lunch, and we just were talking about some business issues and some things that we could collaborate on. And then they said, there is another reason that we have brought you to lunch here. We want to talk about the Landrum Chamber merging with the Polk County Chamber.
We get a lot of encouragement, and that was a very positive thing. We had Kip and Janet come and talk to our members of the Landrum Chamber, and we had a number of meetings on our own.
So I sat and listened to what they were saying about how they wanted to be involved with this chamber, which has a staff, has a physical presence, an office, a phone number that you can call, which were some of the things that they were lacking with their Landrum Chamber.
Folks got used to the thought of possibly doing something different. And I think that those discussions were very important, particularly when we brought the other folks in, like Kip and Janet. It made folks feel a little more safe.
So I said, well, what you need to do is get your board of directors together and give this to me in writing so that I can propose this to the board of directors. But I assured them that I didn't see that it would not be a win-win situation for both. It would help us, it would help them.
It all of a sudden didn't seem like a radical idea, but it seemed like something that, well, maybe this can benefit us all in Polk County as well.
And shortly after that, I did get a letter from them with this proposal took it to my executive committee. They wholeheartedly approved it, and we've gone on from there.
The reception to the idea that this entity should be formed that merged the Landrum Chamber of Commerce and the Polk County Chamber of Commerce made perfect sense.
So we announced it, we put press releases in the newspaper, press releases went out into the Landrum paper. It was approved by their town council. Steve Wolokowitz, the town manager, approved it, and there have been no negatives. Everyone has agreed that it's a wonderful thing to do. There haven't been any opposition at all.
Fortunately, there was a lot of strong support there. With the Polk County Chamber, we have 3 seats on the board. The Landrum Chamber came up with that number, and Janet said, why not?
So we decided to just play down the Polk County Chamber of Commerce, and we came up with a new phrase, the Chamber Serving the Carolina Foothills. And this is what we do now. We just call it the Chamber Serving the Carolina Foothills. It's not a legal name, but we can use it publicly, and that way it encompasses both Carolina areas, and so far it's going very well.
For other regions who face similar challenges, the lessons of this successful merger are clear. While political boundaries cannot be ignored, they should not be allowed to dictate policy or separate regional partners. In this case, something as simple as a local versus long-distance call binds these two towns together more tightly than any arbitrary line on a map ever could.
First of all, I guess number one, the most important thing in a position like I'm in, and I'd say any government position really, is that communication is very important.
Well, for anyone interested in looking at cross-border economic development, whether between a municipality and another municipality, between county and county, between county and state, between state and state, communication is the number one prerequisite.
You've got to give and take and get the negatives all out on the table and discuss them. There might be negatives that will eventually nix the deal.
But don't hesitate to share it, and don't hesitate to think outside the box. Just because something's never been done doesn't mean it can't be done.
Pick up the phone, call your counterpart, talk to the political leadership, help them realize that folks within a geographically defined community, and when I say that, I mean very simply, if everyone goes to the same stores, if everyone goes to the same churches, these are all members of one community.
But if you can come up with a plan that's going to be positive for both areas and an economic win for both areas, then it'll work.